Hi everyone, I'm Miss Sarah from the North Syracuse Library, and today's story time is going to be a little different. There's a lot going on right now, and I'm not just talking about the coronavirus. There is a problem in this world, and it's racism. I have some books that I'm going to read, and I'm going to recommend some books for parents who might need to talk to their children, maybe help explain things. But one of the things I want to say is, obviously, I'm white. And because I'm white, I have certain privileges that other people do not have. For example, I can walk down the street wearing a hoodie, having a bag of Skittles. I'll be okay. If I get in a car accident, I can go knock on someone's door. I'll be okay. Other people don't have this privilege. They get hurt. And that's not right. I hope these books that I'm going to read today might help you maybe not understand, because I don't understand it myself, why these things keep happening, but maybe show you what you can do. So if you see something happening, you don't turn your head or walk away. Maybe you can help. So this first book I'm going to read today, it's called Let the Children March. It was written by Monica Clark Robinson. And this book is a nonfiction book. So that means that it's a true story. "1963, Birmingham, Alabama. I couldn't play on the same playground as the white kids. I couldn't go to their schools. I couldn't drink from their water fountains. There were so many things I couldn't do. One warm spring night, my family went to church. We weren't there to have regular services. We were there to hear Dr. King speak. We were there to plan. He wanted to raise an army of peaceful protesters to fight for freedom. His brown eyes flashing fire and love, Dr. King told us the time had come to march. If I march, Mama said, I'll lose my job sure enough. I can't march, Daddy said. I got a family to feed. The weight of the world rested on our parents' shoulders. But this burden, this time, did not have to be theirs to bear. I don't have a boss to fear, my brother said, or a job to lose. We can march this time. We will be Dr. King's army, I said. I'll be fine, Daddy, I promised. Don't worry, Mama. Dr. King didn't like children being put in harm's way. He was a daddy too, after all. But he said that though we were young, we were not too young to want our freedom. Let the children march. They will lead the way. On May 2nd, a sunny Thursday, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, cousins and friends, we all met at the church, dressed in our best, feet ready. In a silence so loud that all I could hear was my racing heart, We began to walk. Hand in hand we marched, so frightened, yet certain of what was right for freedom. The path may be long and troubled, but I'm gonna walk on. Would I be hurt? Would we be heard? Would it be all worth it in the end? I want to run from the angry faces in the crowd. Run from danger. Run from fear. Boys and girls, brothers and sisters, cousins and friends. On we marched. We marched. We marched. Singing the songs of freedom, 1,000 strong, we came. Hate dogged my heels all that day, its yellowed canine teeth sharp, but courage walked by my side and kept me going. Disperse or you'll be jailed, the police shouted the first day. Disperse or you'll get wet, the police shouted the second day. Disperse or we'll release the dogs, the police shouted the third day. We did not disperse. We kept on marching. We wouldn't stop until things started to change. Hundreds of us went to jail on the first day, and even more on the second. My turn wasn't until the third day. After I was sprayed by water, stronger than anything I ever felt, rough hands pushed me forward, and I fell to my knees in the police wagon. I was going to jail. Dr. King reassured our parents. Don't worry about your children, he said. They're going to be all right. Don't hold them back if they want to go to jail, for they are doing a job for not only themselves, but for all of America and for all of mankind. The night crowded into a cell too small for even half the kids. We sang, "We shall overcome, ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, and freedom is coming." Our parents couldn't be there with us, but still we sang, wrapped in the proud and loving arms of our ancestors. I was still in jail, but we heard that the next day, and the next, more kids marched. The water hoses they used to sting us could not stop our fierce tide. The path may be long and troubled, but I'm gonna walk on. Turn the other cheek, we had been taught. Show love where there is hate. The world watched as hate bruised us, but for 7 days we walked only in love. The jail swelled to busting, and even President Kennedy took notice. Daddy said the president received letters and calls about us from all over the world. Our march would become a memory, a small part of a larger story, but we had been heard, and the seeds of revolution were sown. Two days and nights I stayed in the jail. Some stayed even longer. When I was left, I was tired and sore, and my best dress was ripped. But my smile was as wide as the Mississippi River. I had made a difference. So proud of you, baby girl, Mama said. Your march was what made them see. With nothing more than our feet, voices, and courage, we had done what others could not. Change was right around the corner. We felt it like a cool breeze in an Alabama August. On May 10th, the great news rang out. Dr. King had reached an agreement with the white leaders of the city. Desegregation would begin. One month later, I was playing on a playground I'd never been allowed to play on before. 2 months later, my family ate at a diner we'd never been allowed to eat in before. Our march made the difference. We children led the way. Singing the songs of freedom, 1,000 strong we came. And there's just a little historical note I want to read to you. The children and teens of Birmingham in 1963 changed the world in ways they could have never imagined. Dr. King later wrote, looking back, it is clear that the introduction of Birmingham's children into the campaign was one of the wisest moves we made. It brought a new impact to the crusade and the impetus that we needed to win the struggle. President Kennedy went on television the evening of June 11th, just 1 month after the Children's Crusade, to call for civil rights legislation. He said, every American ought to have the right to be treated as he would wish to be treated, as one would wish his children to be treated. The following year, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and Dr. King won the Nobel Peace Prize. The children truly made the difference. There are plenty of ways that you can make a difference too, through volunteering, writing elected officials, fundraising, starting a petition, educating yourself. When asked what she thought the message of the Children's Crusade was for today's youth, Janice Kelsey, who was one of the younger marchers, had this to say, I want young people to know that each one has the ability to make a difference in their environment. You just have to have enough courage to evaluate the situation and stand up for what is right. And there's another footnote that says, as many as 3,000 children and teens were arrested before the conflict ended. And I just want to show, these are some pictures, probably from a newspaper, of what happened. So again, this was a true story. These children really marched because they wanted to stand up for what they believed in. They were arrested. And then that brought on the Civil Rights Act, which was very important. This next book, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it is a little long. It's called On the Playground, Our First Talk About Prejudice. This book is available on Hoopla, which you can download this book using your library card for Hoopla. And so I'm just going to, as you can see, my lovely bookmarks, I selected a few pages to read. Adults aren't perfect. Just like children, they make mistakes and can be mean sometimes. And beliefs about other people's differences are often passed along from generation to generation. You may have had the same thoughts and feelings as your parents do, may have had the same thoughts and feelings as their parents, your grandparents. These mean or disrespectful ideas can be passed down from one generation to the next, without anyone realizing it or thinking about whether that these feelings and thoughts are right or wrong. Sometimes people hurt each other because they are afraid of what they don't know or don't understand. And sometimes they do it because they were once hurt like that themselves. Oops. And the next page I marked. Even though there are differences between us, we are all equally important. Each one of us deserves love, respect, and equal opportunity, regardless of what we look like, how we sound, or how we live our lives. Learning to understand and appreciate what makes us diverse and to see past differences that may be scary or misunderstood help us accept another as we are. Accept one another as we are. Let's see. Next one. Take some time to look at yourself. Think about whether you have had any thoughts or ideas that could be prejudiced or hurtful to others. It can be really difficult to look at ourselves like that, whether we are children or adults. But it's the first step in changing for the better. And just one last one. We can practice being good role models for the people around us. We can work against prejudice by behaving in ways that are inclusive and respectful of everyone. Ask your friends about their families, their beliefs, their cultures, and traditions. If someone has differences you are curious about, ask about them. Understand, though, that sometimes it's hard to talk about differences, so be respectful if someone doesn't want to share. And so again, this book is On the Playground, A First Talk About Prejudice, available on Hoopla. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about the playground. I mean, it can be anywhere, in the store, even in your own home, in your neighborhood. So I would highly recommend looking up this book on Hoopla. Some other books, well, you can always contact a librarian at Nopal, and we can give you some suggestions. At the top of my head, The Youngest Marcher, that's another book that's about the Children's March, and it's the true story of a young girl who was one of the marchers. And then Something Horrible Happened in Our Town is another book dealing with tragedy. Mama, Did You Hear the News is another good one. And those are just a few I can think of off the top of my head. And so before I sign off, I just want to have a moment of silence for George Floyd, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Emmett Till, and all the others who were unjustly killed before their time.